Um, so welcome everyone to the call. Everyone will be joining us in a few minutes. Thank you for self-muting. That's really respected. Wendy, why don't you say your intention for the call again for everyone listening on the recording?
For my intention, I just actually am giving you all love, and I hope that from this call you will gain more understanding, because there's many different levels, and I just hope that this will bring you more inner peace.
So my intention for today is to bring light to how death works and how different it is for different beings. To bring light to your work, Wendy, partly my intention. And to just stand in the space of a curious instead of kind of like a judgment. I'm choosing even shifting any judgments I have maybe around suicide. So I'm really curious about shifting some of those things, right? You know?
Definitely, because you have to remember that, to me, like is in death and suicide, there are no two alike. They are all unique, and every single one is different. So the thing is, there should be no judgment in death and suicide when every single thing is different. So when we go into allowance, it becomes easier for everyone. Because when you're in allowance, there is nothing but love. There is nothing but light. When you resist it because you're not understanding it, that's when judgment comes in. That comes from a negative. A negative is the lower frequencies, and that's when we get clouded. So that's more dark.
Okay, so by my clock, it's a few minutes before the rest of the people will joining us, and I think it's really important that Wendy and I right now ask any malevolent beings to leave and to clear the space of any interference. I'm getting a sense of interference, so it's not horrible yet, but I get the feeling like there's sort of this ready to pounce energy of interference. So Wendy, will you just kind of lead us in a clearing, a guided sort of clearing? And everyone who's listening can help us also ask for clearing. You know how we've had to do that from time to time when we meet?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know what? There are entities, and I always say, like, even on the other side, there's dark and light, so they will interfere and stop you from maybe spreading some of your work. But I just ask for anyone that's not from the highest light to be released, and really just let them know that they're not welcome, because we only want things for our highest good here today. And if that is some interference and it's for people to learn from, great. But anyone that's not from the highest good, I do honestly just send them love and ask them to be on their way. And then we're just going to just cut any attachments.
Well, I had a strange request come in a few minutes ago, which I don't really even know what it is. But since it's us so far with just one audience member live, I'm feeling like maybe there's something you could bring to the death of my stepbrother. His name was Caleb. I don't know if you feel like going there, but that kind of just kept popping at me this morning. And so I don't know. I haven't really thought about him in a long time. I never lived with him. He was my dad's wife's son. Do you want to just have sort of a fun live tune in?
Well, I'm going to say, like, yeah, like if I tune into him, I am going to say, like, from him, I really get a lot of heaviness in my chest. So I do have to say, even there, I am going to say, I truly believe, like, with everything here, that he has a lot of dark entities that are attached to him. Okay, and I just feel like, and this is what I feel for him. I don't believe he's living his truth. So to
That
me,
what?
he's trying to be more. He's not living his truth. So do you see how, like, when we're on Earth, again, we might, even for some people, I want to say, like, you might think, wow, they seem so happy. They were like, you know, I wouldn't have known that they were depressed or anything like that. But inside, do you see how, like, they're so pretending to do what other people want them to do? And I actually feel for, I've actually never said that before, Erica, that he's not living his truth. He was not living his truth on Earth.
Wow.
So I just felt inside, like, really, there's a lot of unhappiness inside, because he is just, to me, almost like pretending, projecting that he's okay. But inside, I am going to say, no, he's not. He was not living his purpose. So to me, to me, it's just like, I am going to say, like,
so he was what?
Even here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So even here, so I am going to say, like, I do feel like, so for whatever reason, even for him, I am going to say, I do feel like, again, he's crossed over, but I am going to say, like, he's not in a very high realm on the other side. So even, this is how I see it, even on the other side, there's like a road on the other side that there's so many different levels that I'm going to say I don't even know about yet. And I am going to say, like, so to me, he can go higher on the other side. So I am going to say, like, even there are people that still have issues around his death. So when you have issues around someone's death, you are actually not letting them move on. You're keeping them down on a lower level, because he is asking for forgiveness.
Yeah, there were some, my ex-stepmother had some, couldn't let go at all.
Yeah. So do you see how, like, so I am going to say, like, so even here, you know, like, you would be able to forgive him, Erica, you know, and again, like, just do it telepathically with, you know, just saying, like, you are forgiven, like, even on behalf of his mom.
Yeah.
And I believe that we can do that because they didn't know any different.
Right. Great.
Okay, so so you see how, like, we're only doing it from love. So
right.
Therefore, you can send him forgiveness for love, and you're just giving more light to him so he can go to a higher level.
Well, that was a beautiful introduction. It looks like we have another guest. It's popping in and out. Anybody who wishes to have questions, please type them in the chat box. There's a chat box on the right, or it's somewhere there. We'd love your questions, and I think we'll do a little introduction. I'm going to introduce me, and then Wendy, I'm going to have you introduce you. So I'm Erica Glessing, and I love to whisper things, so I whisper books with authors. I get with the authors, and we talk to the book, and that was how Wendy's book went from on her hard drive to in your hands. And I whisper podcasts.
Absolutely.
And I whisper animals, and I whisper houses, and I just love whispering. I love hearing the messages and then translating. So I'm a third-generation book publisher, and I'm a medium as well. So I also whisper spirit. So I think for Wendy and I working together, we work together several times on different projects. It's always a joy to publish Wendy. One of the things I love about Wendy is she has a very beautiful way of decisive taking action. So even when it's not perfect, she's like, we are done, it's time, let's move on, and we get things done. And what I've observed in Wendy's life is this allows her to have physical manifestations, allows her to live beautifully in 2 different countries, allows her to choose a beautiful husband unexpectedly, or partner. And I've just really learned so much from working with you, Wendy. It is a joy to be here with you. Her new book, Happy Publishing, is very grateful to be publishing this book, and it's called The Different Levels of Death and Suicide. And one of my biggest aha moments as I was reading her book, as I was blessed to do several times, was that death is different. There's different levels of death and suicide. There's overdosing accidentally on a medication that was prescribed, you know. It's a form of suicide possibly, or it's a different way of death. So I was very interested in learning this, that it isn't one thing, it's so many different things. So that's my introduction. So Wendy, why don't you just spend a few minutes, you know, a little bit of time, just tell people kind of what happened for you to create the book, how that came in, and then kind of what it's like holding it and sharing it with others.
Well, thank you. And I do have my book here, so I am going to just put it up here, The Different Levels of Death and Suicide. And I really am going to say, like, I want to say first that this would not, to me, have been possible, or it would have been a lot harder if it was not for Erica. So I am a first-time single author and solo author, and I seriously have so much trouble with technology. It's just that I don't like it. I love it, but I would rather be doing other things, and Erica could do the technology. So I didn't even know how to do a PDF file, and Erica says, it's okay, just send me each chapter. So Erica truly made it very easy for this to come about. But in writing this book, The Different Levels of Death and Suicide, for me, it was really, I'd always seen spirit as a young child. Again, did not understand it, had nobody in my family. So it was like every stage, it's like spirit taught me, and they showed me things. And then in coming to England, I actually, just before I came, I was actually working with a suicide in Canada, and this was the first suicide that came through. But this guy was in England, so I was telling my friend things about her nephew. I didn't even really know her. I didn't even know she had a nephew. I just knew her as a school friend, and we helped her family through the death. So I helped. She was texting her nephew's mom, and they were confirming things. So I was like, wow, okay, like he crossed over right away. And when I was younger, people said to me, every suicide comes back to earth. And I think actually I might have learned that from Sylvia Brown in a way. I think I might have heard that from her, and bless her. No disrespect, we all say what we know. So I thought, no, if you commit suicide, you're coming back to earth right away, and you got to release those repeat the patterns. But in working with these suicides, I was like, wow, he's doing something different on the other side. Then they would start coming to me and show me their higher purpose. Now, I am going to say some did come back to earth right away because they were avoiding their purpose. They were avoiding their punishment. So every suicide was different. So the more this came to me, I thought, you know, I need to share this because it was things I did not know. And so then the more I just heard, right. Hey, well, I wrote. And then I'm thinking, okay, I think I've got enough information now. Now I need somebody to design my cover. Well, that's when Darren Boffey, who designed my cover, I had the vision right away. Her husband came to me in a class I was teaching in Canada, went home and showed his wife, and she sent me the cover. It was done like that. So I just felt like, for me, it was like things I did not know. I feel it was really guided to me. I feel like to me, it was just like, who am I to really write this book? You know, is it? But I kept hearing, like, if it helps one person, Wendy, it is, you're meant to share this. It is to help other people understand. Because like I said, it was stuff I did not know. And even as a medium, like, you know, you kind of think, like, you know where everyone goes. But even people in death were showing me that they went to different levels. And I was just like, huh? Like, all our loved ones don't go to the same place. So it's almost like as I went deeper inside of me, I went deeper on the other levels. So
what's it been like for you now that I know there was some transformation for you as the book was getting close to
Yeah.
being in hands, and there were some places where there was some contraction into, oh my gosh, you know, why is this? Why am I going to be the spokesperson for suicide? Or, you know, how come me? Or I think
You know what?
a lot of authors are
Yeah.
receive a book and then go, you know, why me? Or how can I be the expert on this? And maybe just share with people how you tuned up into your, I call it brilliance, but how you just kind of tuned up into it. And then I started seeing you do Facebook events, and I started seeing you do more meditation events, and you were, maybe just take people with you through that
Yeah.
journey, because it's really kind of,
Yeah, like, so really, like, so again, I think I've always been that little, like, I don't know, I think naive actually, like, and, you know, but I say naive is pure-hearted, like, again, and so for me to see some of these darker levels and darker energies, I didn't want to see it. So even like when I was doing emotional releasing and energy work on clients, they would show me these other worlds that they came from, other planets, other worlds, and I'm like, whoa, like I'm not saying this. What are they gonna think? I'm crazy. Like, and but again, spirit would just, when they want me to get a message, I shake inside. So it's like, no, I have to say this. This is their truth. And we would share it. There would always be an earthly validation. So to me, I started to go, yeah, I've seen enough of this and heard enough now to know that I believe this. There is something. So even now I'm thinking that, oh my goodness, again, what are you afraid of? You are afraid of the judgment. You are afraid of people going, wow, she's really lost the plot now. Like that's really, you know, and even like with the suicides, like to me, like suicide was just like people didn't really talk about suicides, but I knew with everything inside of me, it was the suicides that I wanted to share with people and other worlds, knowing nothing down here on earth is as it seems. They were showing me we got implanted with information. We got implanted with our thoughts, sometimes from the dark side on the other side, and sometimes from the light. We've all doubted ourselves. That is just, and to me, a negative implant of a thought that comes from the darker levels on the other side. We've all had great days where we think we love ourselves so much. So that's coming from the light.
Thank you, Wendy. Now, we just had someone else join us, so welcome to the call. Please feel free to type in chats into the chat box. Wendy is here and I'm here, and we do receive messages, and we're willing to connect for you with you if you brought in anything that requires some resolution. Any of your questions, if they're showing up in your head, are very likely to help other listeners of the call, and we're looking for that. So Wendy, I have another one that's popping into my head, and he was my cousin, and he got murdered, and it was during a time when everyone was afraid he was going to commit suicide, and his name was Richard. And so maybe we can just also bring some resolution to Richard's family, which is my family anyways, and see if there's any messages from that beautiful. He was someone I really had a crush on.
You know what? Actually, it was weird. I was getting a murder earlier, and I was actually sharing this with a client, and I said, "Oh, I think there's going to be like somebody coming through who's murdered somebody today." So I don't actually think it's so much, you know, I actually think it's the murderer. Their energy is very much around here, and this is what I want to say: nobody is better than anybody else. So even the other day in a meditation class, we had to clear someone who was murdered because it was so shocking to them. So sometimes when a death comes to you so shocking, you stay attached to the earth. Like you're still looking for your family. You want to be with your family. You're trying to attach to them.
Yes, it was it was so unexpected. It was a stop off at veterinary clinic, and then there was like 5 robbers there, and they took him out.
Oh, are you there? Sorry, I lost you.
I know,
I
that
kind of
was
disappeared.
a potency, wasn't it?
Yes. So again, and then I heard a bell ring. So it's almost like they are happy that you are connecting. So I would really have to say here, I am going to just let him know love and light and to clear his energy. And and also I want to clear the one who murdered him, the energy around him too. Because I am going to say again, remember, nobody is better than anybody else, but we're taught that. We're taught that murderers are not good people. But I am going to say, how do you know there's a higher purpose to everything? So how do you know that that person didn't come to earth and say, yeah, I'll be the murderer so that people can learn this and experience this? Okay, because it is so traumatic if you have somebody who gets murdered, you know that. So do you see how like that brings up the such deep emotion for everybody? Okay, and it's to, again, when you can just see the higher picture, it becomes easier. So to me, you know, I want to send love and forgiveness to both.
Wow.
That's what I feel here, okay? And that's, so you see how like with that, that's what's going to create more love and light in this earth is forgiveness, is for acceptance, and for everybody.
It's really interesting because I look at the family, again, this is my family, that I'm being really vulnerable on this call with you here. And you know, it's really interesting because I have heard of other murders, and I've always also recommended that they forgive the murderer. And when it comes to someone in your own family that they took out who has 3 beautiful children who are my, you know, the cousins who are left without a dad. And, you know, it's like when I look at this in my own life, the forgiveness becomes a different journey. And I'm not saying I can't get there, but it's exceptionally different when it's your blood relative, you know?
And I'm not here to say to anybody that this is a easy journey, because I know it's not, okay? So the thing is, like you say, but when you kind of look at the bigger picture and think, hey, why? So why did this have to happen? What experience did those 3 young girls have to have, like, without a dad? Okay, maybe for some it's the fact that they wouldn't have had a stepdad in their life who was loving and caring, or maybe it is to teach them strength. Maybe it's to teach them, you know, compassion and kindness, and maybe it's to help. Maybe they'll go in and counsel people who have lost, who other people have been murdered. So there's always a higher picture. So I am going to say it is really hard to forgive when you look on the earthly level. It is, because you're looking at life down here. You're seeing like it's really hard for them and the hardship that they've had to go through. But if you can elevate,
is there any piece that I can help bring him on the other side?
You know what? I am going to say that you have already done that by bringing him into this, because I am going to say, like, we are very, for everybody on this call, like, I know that you're going to feel the love and the light here, okay? So I just feel already, I absolutely feel that you have brought more peace to him already, because we've elevated him another level.
Aww.
So
Wendy, why don't you tell a few stories? We haven't gotten any questions from the audience, so why don't you share some of your stories and validations from the book?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Nick first, because Nick was the first one that I really dealt with. And again, I had no idea who he was, and I was talking to him through my cousin, and I'm in there and I'm going, oh, he's around cars, like I see him around cars. She goes, yeah, he was a mechanic. So you know, and then I'm going, oh, he's got a man, I feel his grandfather's with him, but I've got the name Jeffrey. I don't always get names, I'll be honest, but sometimes they come through plain and clear. So I just allow spirit to come through how they want to. I'm not going to control it. And she goes, yeah, his grandfather was called Jeffrey. And I said, I feel very much depressed around him. Now, not every suicide is depressed, okay? But I did feel depressed around him. But I also felt he had gone to the other side. So Nick works with me when I have to clear a suicide, or I have, like, say if I do a show and some suicides are coming through, Nick will always work with me to take those suicides to a higher level, so they're not on the lower levels on the other side, okay? And his sign to me are yellow rubber ducks. So, and I think that's a crazy funny sign. And so again, it wouldn't have been one I could have thought of. I wouldn't have thought that as a sign. And even at one of my shows here in England, I knew Nick was going to be there, and I walk into the show and there's a lady there. She's wearing a sweater and it's got 3 yellow rubber ducks on. And I'm thinking, who wears a sweater with 3 yellow rubber ducks on? Apparently she does.
Oh my goodness.
And there were 3 suicides that came through that night.
Oh my goodness.
So do you see how, like, so I always go, yeah, this is amazing. The other one, I am going to say, like, you know, I've had a few over here, and so one was Charlie. So I just want to share his soul purpose. So it was his grandfather that actually reached out to me and said, like, you know, my grandson took his life and I just can't cope with it. So he came in, I did some emotional releasing, and then Charlie came through, and so he was giving me messages and saying, like, why he took, what made him take his life, because he was not depressed. It was more to do with criticism. So again, so the lesson was here was, are we criticizing? Because again, he could take the criticism, take it, and all of a sudden the last one was he couldn't take it anymore. And it's almost like he went into tunnel vision, told his girlfriend to get out of the car, and he took his life. So then, when Charlie was working with me, in the meantime, I had a mum who had gotten her son back. There was a lot of divorce issues and things like that. So, so the son was a very vulnerable 9-year-old at the time, very sensitive. So he liked to sleep with his mum because I know he was experienced with spirits. But again, do you see how, like, he was scared? He just wanted somebody to sleep with. Well, over, you know, again, by any social worker, any law, any society, they think it's not right for a 9 or 10-year-old to sleep with their mother, because again, but it was a safety. There was nothing sexual about it, but they imply that. And so I had to go and buy this great big teddy bear for the little boy, and I gave it to him, and I said, I had to call him Charlie. I don't know why. It was just like, the bear's name's Charlie. And I just wrote him a note to say, could you be my friend? My name is Charlie, but I need to sleep with somebody and cuddle them. So that night he decided to go to bed. He slept with the bear, and he's been sleeping with him ever since. He has not slept with his mum since. He loves Charlie. Then the grandpa came back to me, and we were talking, and he said, oh yeah, my grandson's name is Charlie. So there was no coincidence. Charlie had taken me to get that bear for this other young boy. Then he told me he is so happy on the other side. He is now helping young boys with their emotions. So he is, whereas he told me he picked up stuff when his mom and dad were arguing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, again, they didn't mean for him to pick it up. They weren't directing this at the child, but children are so sensitive. You could be in another room and you're picking up the energy. So do you see how, like, then they get like, whoa, I'm not good and this is my fault. And that's not true. So I honestly say to everybody, if you have children around you, just because you're in another room does not mean to say that they're not picking up your energy. So if a child gets agitated, sad, moody, there's a reason for it. So, you know, maybe look at the surroundings, look at how you're feeling. Are they picking up things in your surroundings? So I now know Charlie helped me. I truly believe he implemented the knowledge to me to do my Over the Rainbow with parents and children, which and most of them, I am going to say, are 8, 9, 10-year-olds, and mostly boys, I will say, but I've had girls in the classes. And these are children that need help with their emotions and don't know how to clear them. So he's helping them with that. And again, the kids go away feeling so happy. They've got tools for life that they don't have to hold on to these emotions. I teach them to think, every child, to know how special they are.
I have another question that popped into my head. And I've been interviewing since 1984 professionally. So when a question pops in my head, I just trust it, right?
Yeah.
So it had to do with, how do you navigate when someone threatens suicide? So maybe it's your teenagers go through so much angst right now.
Okay.
So when someone, or maybe it's an adult, but they, maybe I'll just kill myself, or, how do you kind of tune into that, and what do you do?
Yeah, every suicide is different. I myself have had a daughter that, wanted to take her life at 15, and was always talking about this. And she taught me a lot. I really have to say, we both learned a lot from that. So do you see how, there's a higher picture? And I just said to her, so one day I was just like, oh my goodness, she's taken all my time, my energy. I've got 2 other kids. I thought, I've got to let go. If she chooses suicide, I have to allow her to do her journey. And I let go, and she never said it again. And, and even here, you have to know there is a higher purpose. Will I try and, show people, okay, well, how can we get you happier? How can we get you, the first thing I do, if somebody is talking to, I have had many a phone call at many a night, somebody wanted to take their life. And the first thing I do is clear entities around them. I actually clear darker energies just to make sure that their mind is then clearer, so that then if that's their choice, you have to know there's a higher purpose. But there's also somebody, which is another story in the book, his girlfriend had died, and he came to me for a reading very, very skeptic. He wanted to take, she came through and said, you are contemplating suicide. If you choose suicide, you will not be in the same place I am, because you still have lessons to learn on earth. So you'll be in a lower level than me. And she says, we'll have to wait at least 100 years before we can come back. But if you live your life out this time, it will only be 50 years before we both come back to earth together. She showed the life that they were going to have, and the earthly validation was that they're going to live in this house with a veranda. He was fixing up their home, and it had a veranda. So do you see how in this reality, he's going to fix up the home? He won't live in it his whole life here. He'll fix it up. They'll come back 50 years time, and they'll buy that house and live in it.
Ah.
So we don't all go to the same place. Suicide, some people come back. So that's why I honestly have to say, if you have somebody that has taken their life, there is nothing you could have done. So I would truly like you to release any guilty feelings, any what if I, could I.
Wendy, I'm going to process this a little bit bigger with you. So I just got called to do this. So I'm going to just ask everybody on the call. I get there's going to be a lot of listenings, but the call might go on and on, okay? And everyone who receives the recording has our express permission to share. We're not going to charge anything. They don't have to opt into anything. This conversation is fully complimentary in every way, shape, and form. We're not going to actually sell anything on this call. We're actually just doing this to tune in and to bring light and love and joy back to whoever needs it. And so what I just got around, if someone had said to you something like, I'm considering suicide, and you didn't know what to do, come to find out they did, and you were kind of in this place of what could have I done? What we're asking now is for all people to give the chi back to the person who chose. Bring your chi back, but give back the chi to the person who chose this. Now they have their own chi, and you've released their chi from your body. And now the guilt is actually what I got when Wendy was showing it to me, is something that brings us down in our vibration. Also, I'm getting some words. So I'm getting, how could you? What were you thinking? I gave you life. How can you take it away? I brought you into this world. How can you reject me and it? Oh, I was married to you. How could you do this to me? Now you committed suicide as a way of getting back at me. All those things, let's give everyone back their power of their choices. And now I'd like everyone to bring back your own power of your choices. There's some more there. Give them back their chi. There you go. I'm really sensing that everyone needs to give people back their power of choice. And I have a really silly example this morning just to lighten things up a little bit for anybody who's getting kind of heavy. You know, she was like, well, how can I describe my offerings better so people know which one to pick? And I was like, give everybody back their power. They're picking. You're making descriptions or not making descriptions, or how good your descriptions are. Yeah, it doesn't mean you shouldn't make a description, but you still need to give people back their power of their choice and their chi. Their spirit, they chose a human body. They choose when to leave. There we go. There we go. What if there's nothing I can do? What if there's nothing I can do? What if there's nothing I can do? Of course there's nothing you can do. Well, one thing that I just got shown, and I'm just, again, tapping into this thing of freeing the guilt for everybody, is to be as much joy as you can possibly be in this lifetime yourself. So as you stretch to joy, as yesterday, I took time and I went and played with a dolphin, and I gave the dolphin some healing around their mom, who they lost when they were very little. And that was a luxury. That was something I didn't have to do. I definitely would have felt a lot more comfortable staying home and working. I would have felt more comfortable finishing up some things I needed to do. I would have felt more comfortable doing administrative tasks to further my businesses. And what I did instead is I drove up and I hung out with a dolphin, which was so beautiful. That's what I got will actually shift the guilt, is you making choices of joyful yourself instead of that worry, what can I do to, you know, what can I do? What could have done? That angst, that self-hitting. I got self-hitting. So for anybody who's in that pattern of self-hitting, I'm sure none of us have ever beat ourselves up for anything. I'm sure I'm the only one, Wendy. I'm the only one who's ever beat myself up. So that's just kind of a big release. And now just look at the guilt. Look at that guilt. Get it out of your body. And just kind of put it on a plate. And look at all those guilty feelings and just sort of look at it and go, hi. And see if it doesn't need to be in your body anymore. That's what I got. So that was the processing that I took away from what you did. What else would you like to add? Because I really get that guilt thing's really big. Why don't you spend a few more minutes on that, love?
You know what? Honestly, like the guilt, I am going to say, like what I get, like, so when I need to clear any guilt in me, I actually just feel, I just say yes to it and acknowledge it. And I just think it, send it love, because love dissolves everything. And I just release it through my breath. So releasing the guilt and letting it go. Because when you focus on the guilt, you're actually not focusing on your light and how you can make a difference. Because to me, like, we are here to share love and light. So, you know, so it is to release yourself from that. So I think how you did it was wonderful. And like I said, if somebody just wants to, again, there's loads of different ways. So there isn't one right way. You just have to find a way that's easy for you to do. When it becomes easy for you, you know it's in sync with your energy, and it's a good way to let go. I was getting somebody's son, so I don't know if she's on here because I can't see who's on here. Do you know if there's a Linda on here? Linda Chartrand?
There's someone named Saruchi. I don't know if there's another person with that name, but I also got that sometime between now and the next few minutes when we're going to wrap up the call in a little bit, could you address the Kate Spade and then the chef, what was his name, Antoine?
Yeah, like, you know what?
From those?
I never even heard of these people. I'm going to be honest, okay? Like, I'm not a big famous social person. I'm just, again, I've never been like that. So when you were saying about these famous people taking their lives and that, like, I actually do think it really was to bring awareness to the world. Okay, so, and even there, like, if I probably tune in more to the chef, honestly, and even there, just see how, like, he does amazing good things with other people, helping, but I'm gonna say in here, I still feel a very deep heaviness in him.
Yeah,
okay, like like, I actually don't feel that with the Kate. I feel light, I feel happy, I feel bubbly. So I actually think that this was absolutely part of her soul purpose, is to do this. And I actually feel like, will she go on to bigger and better things on the other side and help him work? I feel she's in complete light. Okay, so I do feel that she has a high purpose here. I feel she is going to be spreading more love down here on earth. I feel that. I feel just so happy and bubbly. Okay, so that energy will be still, she's going to still bring that energy. And I don't know if she was like that on earth. I don't know her. But I am saying I feel like a kid. I feel like playful. I feel fun. So I do honestly feel she'll be implementing. More people are meant to have more fun down here. They're not meant to take life so serious. Whereas more people down here, they're too worried about making money. They're too worried about where they're meant to go. Okay, so do you see how that's serious? That's heavy.
Okay.
So she's playful. She's like a little fairy. I see her like. So I feel she's gonna be bringing the laughter, more laughter to earth, more play.
Wow.
Okay, that's how I feel, and she'll be probably implementing things like she'll be the one tripping people up and making them laugh about it, like, so she will be bringing more laughter to earth. I honestly do have to say, like, I just feel such sadness in the chef. I really do. And I do think, again, when it both came together, there is still a higher purpose that people are now talking about this.
I get from him, I get the regrets. I get regret. I get almost like oceans of regret. I get that what people saw was a fraction of who he was.
I agree with you. I do feel like this, like, and again, like, again, they might have thought like he, I don't, obviously
like,
he's a famous chef.
I think people thought they knew him and they did not, because I actually don't get that he revealed that much, even though he did. It seemed like, because he was such an immense being, that his revealing this, like, was 90% not revealing. Someone else revealing that could be 90% revealing.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think with Kate, see, I feel it's such an easy transition. Like, I don't feel like there's, so I think, she must have been playful when she was down here on earth and fun, and, and it's the same. So do you see how, like, her transition is like this, it was her time to go. It's just like, when we choose we want to die, that's how I feel.
Wow.
Completely different for the other guy.
Yeah.
So to see how like his transition is not as easy, his transition is more
Yeah.
heavier.
I
So
had
you,
a, I
I
had a,
agree with you.
I had a beautiful insight the other day, and it was someone I was chatting with because we were getting ready to do this call, and I was talking to her about the call coming up, and I said, you know what? If you ask like every being on earth, like what was birth like? Well, some are born into a city, some were born into a hospital, some were born on a dirt floor. Some came in with like really labored births. Some came in with like popped out births. Some had C-sections, some had adoptions, some were drug babies. So if you tried to say
Yeah,
every birth is this, that's the insight I got that might help people get like how different every death is.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I just want to share because I am getting Chris. So I know his mom, she's in my book because Chris was into drugs when he was here. So that's a story in my book. But so even like just before this call, I was just trying to meditate a little bit and just kind of tune in. And Chris came through and I want to share this for everybody. So he honestly said, like, so now he's actually given his mom a specific tattoo to get done. And so I wrote it, and like I just have to write, but it's almost, I don't know if you can see it, but it's almost like a lightning bolt with the letter C, but the lightning bolt is yellow and the C is blue. And it's almost like he's putting power into, his name is Chris, so he's putting power into that. But what he was telling me was, obviously, like now he has the power and he is empowering teenagers, he said, and through their artwork. So, and why? And I'm like, okay, so what does the empowering mean? No, he's going to give them courage and he's going to give them confidence through doing their amazing artwork. So to see if they weren't doing the artwork, maybe those children would not be as confident, would not have the courage to, like feel good about themselves. So he's telling me now that that's his higher power. And he said, I had the power on earth, but I didn't understand it. I didn't think I had it. Now he knows differently. So he's actually now going to be working with teenagers, and he's been gone a while. So even on the other side, you see how like we're meant to learn things up there, we're meant to recover from life sometimes, from our earthly, we're meant to recharge our energy, learn pieces up there. So now this is his sole purpose now. So I thought that was really enlightening.
Thank you so much, Wendy. That was really beautiful. So I really appreciate that. Let's see what else I'm getting for us to share as far as bringing light to families. How about a child who takes on when their dad crosses over?
Yeah, I think that is like so,
Like
again,
they take it on like, what could I have done different? It's that same energy. But with a child, they're so vulnerable because they're just sort of confused,
I know, and you know what? And then there again, I think a lot of children can either learn from it. It's breaking cycles, isn't it? So sometimes children will learn to break the cycle, or they will choose to sometimes go down similar paths. So that is the choice.
Yeah. I have to tell you that made me think of Whitney Houston and her daughter. And one of the things that showed up for me, because I can talk to crossed over celebrities,
Yeah.
and they have lots of messages for me. And so I was getting messages from Michael Jackson. I was getting messages from Luther Vandross. These weren't necessarily suicide, but I was getting lots of messages from Prince. And so I was sitting there going, Whitney, how about you? Would you like to give me a message? And at first she was just like, back the fuck off. Excuse my language. She's like, back off, back off, back off. Like, no, no way. Like, why are you talking to me? I don't want to talk to you. And I guess she didn't understand that I just was coming from a very compassionate place. And so I just sat there with her for quite a bit, maybe a couple of months, maybe even a year. And then I started getting some messages from her, and they were really interesting. And then when her daughter was in the coma, I could feel the daughter wanting to be with the mom.
Yeah.
And I could sort of also feel the mom being a haven for the daughter. And so there was this interesting thing, not that the mom wanted the daughter to leave Earth, and in that case it was kind of murder also is fascinating, but that the moms, even on the other side, had created space so that the daughter could cross over with more ease, because there was like a limbo part where the daughter was in a coma. And I have the gift of being able to see if someone like in a coma is crossing or not, and they're kind of in the middle. And I can actually communicate with that spirit at that time. And I've done this more than once. And in that case, there was a conscious choice to go over and be with mom. And it was really fascinating. And then with Whitney's energy, which actually is kind of beautiful now, I really get a beautiful sense of her energy now. And I get this sense of like laughter of, she couldn't see her own beauty and she couldn't see her own light.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else saw it, which was so fascinating. And so I get these messages, still also concurring with Wendy on everything being in tune with life purpose.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. And did you have something with Robin Williams?
What?
Did you have something with Robin Williams?
Well, that was a confidential reading.
Oh, I see. So
And
that's fine.
so I was able to get some messages, and as I was looking at it, well, let me just see if I can bring any fresh messages for our audience that's listening now.
Yeah.
That spirit. So what I'm getting. So let me just pause and allow it to come in. 'Cause, you know, I'm a little slower than Wendy. I don't do it every day, but let me just see what I'm getting if he wants to bring any energy to the group here. So the messages I'm getting is to clean and clear as much of the crap as you can in your life, so that any crappy behavior you have, you know, and I'm not immune to this. I've done crappy things, and hopefully I'm changing all that shit. Excuse my language. I don't know, I'm cussing so much. I think it was Robin's energy that, you know, he's like, just keep cleaning. Like, don't be afraid to clean up your karma. Like, don't be afraid to go in and if you have stuff you did to mean to somebody 25 years ago, go in and just work on that. You don't need to have them there. Not only forgiveness, but wrongs you've done to others. I'm being shown like, if you could get cleaner, you'll have a better afterlife.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? And this is what I say, like, everybody has done stuff. So that's why I honestly believe that nobody is better than anybody else. If you haven't done it in this lifetime, I guarantee you've done it in another lifetime. So, you know, like I always look at it and go, oh, I've probably done that. If I'm judging something, I absolutely know it's a reflection of me. So if I don't like, I'll just give you an example. Like I used to hate male chauvinistic pigs. I used to think, God, they think they're God's gift to women. I wish I was a blonde bombshell and they'd ask me out and I'd be like, sorry, I just wanted to bring them down. And then somebody said to me, well, Wendy, it's like a mirror of you, like you're reflecting something in you. And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't make sense because I'm a woman in this lifetime. I'm really nice. I'm just trying to help people and caring. So how does that make sense? And that night, I had a dream. I was a male chauvinistic pig in a past life. So do you see how like I was remembering something in my cell memory that I didn't like about me. So
it's
that's why
the shadow work.
But I appreciate that because now, again, I learned from it. So that helped me to not judge. And after that, now I have no problems with them. I love them. So now it's just like, hey, good on you, go for it. Like, you know, it's allowing them to do their journey again. And I just want to I know that we have to end soon, but you know, the other thing I want to say is when you brought up about Whitney Houston, that Whitney could not see her own beauty. And I just want to say to each and every one of you out there, what gifts and kindnesses do you have in yourself that you're not recognizing? You know, so if somebody is really saying to you, you know, like, you're beautiful, and you're going, no, I'm not, like, you know, and and stop and take a moment and just ask yourself, what's one good thing that you do? What's one thing that's beautiful about you? Again, and I say get out of the body. I believe beauty truly is about the things we do, the things our energy projects. So, if you're going to listen to somebody, that's a beautiful thing. A lot of people can't listen to others. So, it doesn't have to be just about looks. It really is about how kind you are, how compassionate you are, all your light that you're spreading, and the good that you do. So Whitney should have really noticed that, again, if you are just helping a few people, not everybody likes Whitney's music. Not everybody is in sync with my energy, and I appreciate that. But I'm going to love everybody no matter what, and I am going to share whatever anyone wants to listen to.
One of the things I've been working with this one client, and one of the questions they had for me was, what did I notice in like the superstars that I represent? Because, I represent authors that are kind of everyday authors, and you're not an everyday author, but I represent sort of people who are very afraid of their own shadow authors. And then I have authors that are kind of stepping up into it. Then I have the authors that are just like knocking it out of the ballpark. Like they're just selling. And their books are just like hotcakes, and everybody's just like celebrating them, and they're getting up on stages, and so someone was asking me like, what is that energy of those people that are willing to have all the accolades? And really it was that energy that you just showed me of allowance of someone else like saying great things about them. It was like, oh, here, it was like, not, oh, I can't believe they said I'm awesome, right? I can't believe Jack Canfield testimonialed my book, Happiness Quotations. It was more like, hey, thanks, Jack. That's awesome. Let's rock and roll. So as people, the people that I've seen that keep notching up into that stratosphere of authordom, and where they're just absolutely, the books are just like selling themselves. It's that willingness to perceive without reaction all the success. So it's like a lowering your barriers to letting the book's energy be as big as it wants to be. Just be as big as it wants to be. And then if you get a great testimonial, or you get someone saying how wonderful you are, you get allowing that to come in. And one of the things I'm seeing in the whole functionality of suicide, and while you've been very careful to say every single one's different, there's a blocking of that willingness to see your own light and your own beauty. There's a cutting off of those nourishing, almost like nourishing messages from heaven saying you're all right. It's like you sever those willingnesses. And I'm not, Wendy, just like you, I don't see my own successes constantly. Like I'm always working on this, right? And so when I get
that's important for everybody. And that's important, right? That everybody is working on themselves, and you have to keep working on yourselves. I continue to work on myself every day, and take at least 5 minutes to clear some stuff in me. No, but it's true. Like even with this book, like I remember when I had to send the manuscript to you, my heart was racing, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, should I really be doing this?
Hold it up again. And I have to tell everybody, I'm going to brag on you, Wendy. When Wendy first hold it up one more time. I want people to look at the cover. When Wendy got the cover, someone told her that's a terrible cover. And she was like, you know what? This is the cover. Like she got shown the cover. And so when she came to me, she was like, well, is it, she wasn't asking me if it was a terrible cover. She was more like saying, are you in alignment with this entity of this book? And I remember
Yeah.
that one very famous book connected individual was like, you know, you can't possibly use that cover and all that judgment. So maybe just another message that's coming through today for those people who are doing their own books and who are in their creation. Maybe they can connect to spirit. Maybe they have messages that are coming through. I'm guessing everyone who listens is going to have a purpose for listening. And what
Yeah.
I love about Wendy was she was willing to stick on the truth of the book, the truth of the book. She was willing to let the book be its truth. And that's just an amazing gift. So thank you for that, Wendy, because I know this book is going to help so many more people that's just beginning.
And, you know, and like I said, I just know for me, I did not understand. There was a time in my life I didn't understand suicide. I didn't understand even seeing dead people. I didn't understand mediumship. So the more you understand it, the more easier it will be for you. The more inner peace you have. Like it gives you freedom. So, you know, and I really have to say, like, for each and every one of you, if you can truly understand that, you know, I want to, if anyone here, you know, has connected to any suicide in any time of your life, thank you for having the courage. Because to me, you chose this on your life path, and it takes a heck of a lot of courage to endure this. And I send everybody involved so much light, caring, compassion, and I really truly embrace you all with one big hug, because I know some of you need it. Like, you know, I can feel still some really heavy sadness. So again, Erica, I know that you do amazing work and you're an awesome medium as well. And I truly, no, so I am going to say, me and Erica, we are doing this call from the goodness of our heart to only bring, you know, maybe more understanding to you guys. There is, most people that do calls have something else to sell. We don't. Okay, so, but we
Well, I
would be
have things,
happy.
just to be clear, I have lots of things to sell.
Yes, you do.
I'm not just bringing my products to this call, but just to be clear, I have lots of fun things to sell.
And they can check us out, but it's not, but we're not saying that you have to buy anything, right?
No, but I
You,
do, Wendy, I do want you to conclude the call. It should be over
yeah.
in a minute or two. Give us a nice ending, and then do let people know how they can find you and learn more.
Yeah. So, so I really just honestly have to say thank you guys. If you haven't bought this book, The Different Levels in Death and Suicide, I really encourage you to, just only for more understanding. And there's many things in that book. And I am going to say, like, my hope is just if you're not at peace, find the peace within. There is many people. You know, I also want to say Erica has an amazing book, Happiness Quotation. So I just want to say that, Erica, because that book, like, sometimes people just need a little bit of happiness that day, a little bit of, oh my goodness, because we all have days where we feel amazing and we have days where we don't feel so good. And maybe on those days, like, you could just, I love your book because I just sometimes go, oh, what's my message for today? And it brings me some happiness. It brings me hope. It brings that light to me. So really, for all of you, it's your choice to understand more. There are amazing, many, many people out there. If you want to find me, my website is www.wendyterrypsychic.com. I have a Facebook that you're welcome to message me. And my business one is Open Minds of Wendy Terry. I have my email, you know, and you can share what you have where they can get a hold of you too.
I'm so glad you could come. Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to reach me is email. I love email. It's happypublishing@gmail.com. Happy, like the word happy, publishing, like publishing. Happy publishing, no punctuation, @gmail.com. I have happypublishing.net. I have podcastpassion.net. And then I have some other things I'm creating for people. My goal is to be the wind beneath the wings of authors and creators and people with messages. And so I just align myself with being able to help people like Wendy, just lift up their wings and just, you know,
I love
get
that,
that
Erica.
air.
You know
That's
what?
my
I
goal.
have, I have to say that just in that moment, like I had to give somebody asked me if I would send my book to their friend whose son had taken suicide. And that was the message to the mom. I am the wind beneath your wings. I am lifting you up. So
Wow.
for you to say that, I'm like, oh my goodness,
Oh,
this
that's
is
a
like
perfect end, guys.
synchronicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mwah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, Erica, for doing this. She did all the technical stuff. If you ever want to hire Erica, I'm going to tell you, if you are technically challenged, she's the girl to have. She makes it so easy. From my heart, Erica, I really mean that.
Mwah.
And together we can make a huge difference. So thank you.
Thank you.
So good luck to everybody.